The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us. I am Tamara Scott. This is the Tamara Scott Show on WVWTV.com. We're glad you can join us every Monday through Friday, noon to 1 p.m. So thank you for joining us live. We come to you bringing you incredible guests with credible information, or credible guests with incredible information. We're always glad you can join us. And if you missed that show, they're available complimentary for 7 days, and then they go behind the paywall, at worldviewtube.com/fault, worldviewtube.com/fault, where you can find them with a reasonable subscription fee. Not just this show, not just our incredible guest, but every show on the network, including Brannon House's library of information, speeches, documentaries, all of those. Throughout, I think, 36 years, he's been doing this type of training. So that is all available to you. And Thomas, our producer, has it on the screen for you. Thank you so much for that. Thomas is also putting some of these shows that people want to watch and they want to pass that 7 days. He's putting some of those online on YouTube. And so you can go to Worldview Tube TV. Am I saying that right? Worldview Tube TV. There you are. Worldview Tube TV. And then you can watch on there and share it with friends because there's so much great information. All right. As you know, we help you live God's word in today's world when the headlines hit home. There's several things I'm putting on the Facebook page, the Tamara Scott Show Facebook page, more arrests in public schools. I'm just telling you, you don't know who has hands on your child, who infiltrates their mind every day at school. You may love your teacher. Most of you don't even know the teacher that well. On the first day of school, you may not have even laid eyes on them, which is frightening to me. But you don't know the janitor. You don't know the cook. You don't know the associate, the substitute that comes in. You don't know the special speaker they're going to bring in. They often don't tell you ahead of time. And so I just posted something about a child. I mean, I don't know if she was having nightmares or what, about what her teacher had said he was going to do at night to her. And I'll say this to you. And then the other one was about 3 or 4 folks being arrested, including a law officer being arrested in another school district. Those are on the Facebook page. If you want to email me at thetamarascottshow@gmail.com, I'll see if I can find them for you yet and send them to you. I'm just telling you, your kids don't usually share very easily. They suppress what they're afraid of. If you're not that parent waiting when they get home from school, you miss your opportunity because they don't store it to have a conversation with you later. They bury it. And you don't hear about it until your child's not behaving, till they're struggling with their studies, struggling with their brothers, sisters, struggling with who they are, their identity. By that time, it is often now manifested and you have an issue. The time it would take you to homeschool your kids, which is a joyful experience, which is fun and not rigid, would be an investment that will pay off, could save their lives from some of this other by the time you find it. It's drugs that they push, treatment, pharmaceuticals. It is therapies. We also have issues with some of those. In a lot of the school shootings, children had already been in those avenues. Why don't you prevent the harm by homeschooling? By being the one, God gave you your kids. He's going to help you train your kids by being the one to train them and to know what's said to them, what's not said to them, who has eyes and hands on them. Save your kids. Preempt the danger. Prevent so you don't have to have the investment. The investment of time saves you the investment that it's going to cost in counseling, in therapies, maybe even in a bail later on. But it also gives you the investment that will pay off dividends for their life here on earth and eternity. Can't say it enough to you. Didn't want to get into that because we have so much to talk to you about today. Joining me, we have David Olham is going to talk to us in the second half. We talked to him. We didn't quite get to the story he wanted to tell about dealing with Michael Farris on Convention Estates. And so we'll talk to him. We'll get that story in. He has constitutionalgrounds.com or org. I think I'll try and look. Thank you. Constitutionalgrounds.com. Thank you. And first, we're going to talk to Eldon Stahl. Eldon has been a huge blessing to us on this issue. If I have a question, if I wonder if something's been recorded, has somebody done this research, I can reach out to Eldon, and man, he sends me back a link in a matter of time. Eldon Stahl, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Tamara. It's great to be here with you and great to see you again.
Thank you so much. And David could come in if he wants to be part of this, or if he just wants to wait and listen in, that's fine too. Whatever you want to do, producer, that's between the two of you. We can bring him in the second break if you want. But Eldon, thank you so much. I'm going through a lot of the things I'm looking, and you're the one who sent them to me. The ones these links and these videos we use often. Thank you for tracking this. It's not so much what I think. I have my own thoughts on Convention Estates, but a lot of times it's what they've said. Trust what they've said. All right. So as we head into this, I've got some links I pulled out today, but where would you like to start? Where do you think our viewers may need to start?
Well, yeah, I think that one with Mark Meckler admitting that it's all about narrative is pretty damning. And I think, for the people that this is not their big subject, that's probably all you need to know about this, but we could go into lots of things.
All right. So Thomas, I think you have that video. Before you go to that video, let me read this quote. This is from that book, Saul Bloom's book, Formation of the Union Under the Constitution. And this is George Washington's take on a second convention. Above all, he disapproved of the idea of a second convention, which was one of the favorite proposals of the Anti-Federalists. He had too much knowledge of the difficulties met in the first gathering to believe that a second one could do any better, especially as there was no agreement among those opposed as to the proper remedy. Think about that. Especially, let me make sure I'm saying it right, especially as there was no agreement among the opposed as to the proper remedy. I want you to think about that, because they are throwing spaghetti at the wall still today, hundreds of years later. There was nothing, in his opinion, constructive in their arguments against the Constitution. They all, quote, addressed to the passions of the people and obviously calculated to alarm their fears. I could play you clip after clip after clip of their speaking about fears today. And hopefully we'll get to being able to highlight some of the things that prove they have nothing, no clear direction in where they're going to head, no clear remedy, because the Constitution's not the problem, it's the solution. Eldon, anything you want to say, or should we go to that video with Meckler?
Well, yeah, Madison had very similar comments when he wrote to Tuberville about, he said, yeah, we had enough problems. It was a miracle that this came out the way it was. It's not perfect. And one of the, actually twice, James Madison raised concerns during the Federal Constitutional Convention about the vagueness of the wording of Article 5 with regard to a convention. So, that's something that for some reason you don't hear the Convention of States promoters mentioning, even though one of those comments was made on September 15th, which seems to be their favorite day, 1787. That's the day that George Mason said, hey, well, why don't we have this option for 34, I guess, states today, or 2/3 of the states to apply for a convention to force the amendment process. But somehow they missed that.
Yes, and when you talk about the vagueness of this, I've got my ideas as why they do, but in the Santorum hearing that we're probably referenced that just took place on February 11th, just this year in South Dakota House, a volunteer for a COS gets on to testify right behind him and just explains how the delegates will be selected by the state legislatures as if it's written somewhere. It's certainly not in the Constitution, and I don't think it's even in a law anywhere. All right,
Yeah.
let's go to Meckler's video.
Let's go here first.
So if there's no risk, then why did you put limitations on the enabling and educate the three basic limitations in the laws that you're passing?
So as opposed to doing a general convention.
Correct.
Yeah. So the reason is for narrative. In other words, if I were to say, if we were to put out there to the world that, hey, we're just going to have a convention, we have no idea what we're going to talk about at this convention, then frankly, nobody would support it because there'd be so much fear out there. Everybody would be afraid that we had to frame it in a way. I mean, this is one of the things that I think, I'm just going to say this generally, libertarians and conservatives are really bad at narrative. We just generally don't understand narrative. And if you don't frame a political discussion in the correct way, you lose. There's a really wonderful political scientist, I highly recommend him. His name's Eric Schachtschneider, from way back when, I think he wrote in the 60s.
Eldon, your thoughts on that?
It's kind of breathtaking. I was amazed that he actually admitted all that in front of all these people at Freedom Fest I was in Rapid City, South Dakota. But basically what he's saying is, hey, the reason we're putting these three subjects in our application, we talk all about, this convention is going to be limited to fiscal restraints, limits on the power of jurisdiction of the federal government, and term limits, is because, if we said, hey, we really don't know what's going to happen if we open up a convention, nobody would vote for it. In other words, he's not saying, oh, we're putting those in because those will actually limit what will happen at a convention. It's so and sell it to the people. A narrative is really a marketing tool. And based on truth or can be based on false mixture of both.
Yeah.
And
We've got to go to our first break. Eldon Stahl is my guest.
All right.
Stay tuned. It moves so fast. I so appreciate you being here, but it moves so fast. We'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. The slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023 in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com, tamara.bellagraceglobal.com. All right. Eldon Stahl is my guest today, and we are thrilled to have him. And David Altman is in the waiting room, the green room, if we had one, virtually. And he may pop in today just to be here and part of this conversation as well. Let's bring Eldon back in. And David, if he wants to. All right, Eldon, I'm going to pop in. Oh, good. Hello, David. Welcome. If you don't know each other, David is from Oklahoma. And Eldon, I'm not sure which state you're in.
I'm in the great state of Wyoming.
Oh, wonderful. I am so sorry. I need to remember that because I think I may text you very early in the morning thinking you're East Coast. So I'll try
Oh,
and
I
be
see.
better.
No problem.
All right, I'm going to pop on. We've played this for our viewers a lot, but I think it just bears replayed. Thomas, can you play the clip with Robert Kelly, staff attorney for Convention of States? And let's start, I think it's at 54 in there where he's saying, I want a broad application, and then we'll stop and jump to 127. Start at 54, if you will.
Specifies 3 topics that the convention can consider. It can consider fiscal restraints on the federal government. It can consider items which limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. And it can consider term limits for federal officials. So that would be Congress, that would be members of the Supreme Court. And Mr. Lewis's argument against this is that it opens up all the articles. And that's true.
All right, so stop right there. Now let's hop to 125. 125.
Dealing with Congress. Because guess what? Congress is part of the problem. It opens up Article 2. Why? Because the president is part of the problem. It opens up Article 3. Why? Because the Supreme Court is part of the problem. It allows us Article 5 to be considered so that the states don't have to go through this convoluted process in the future, so that if 3/4 of the states agree in advance, they could propose amendments to the Constitution. It opens up these articles because of the...
Okay, first off, don't we already have it that if enough of your states already offer an amendment, it can go to the Congress and they can call it? It's already something we have in place? So we don't even need this thing. But Eldon, you just played the clip. We played the clip of Meckler talking about why they're saying it's a limited convention. And here's their staff attorney, I don't know if it's a paid position or not, talking about a broad convention.
It is.
Overhauling. So opening up every branch of government is not an amendment. That's an overhaul. And they also want to redo the ratification convention process, which is a fright. And yes, call me fearful if you want. Call it well-founded in good sense. Go ahead, Eldon.
Yeah, well, they like to kind of play semantics here and try to, but actually it's kind of a good point that James Madison actually brought this up back in the day. They said, hey, you overstepped your authority to, thought it was just to revise the Articles of Confederation, and here you come with a new proposed constitution. I think you overstepped your bounds a little bit. And basically James Madison said in Federalist 40, okay, anybody around here, show me the exact line where we step from simply revising to getting a new kind of an overhaul here. And nobody could do it. And he's exactly right. And that's the thing today. The Convention of States people, they always say, well, we're not trying to, have a new constitution or, do a rewrite. We want to tweak, here and there. Okay, where is the line? I challenge anybody. Robert Brown's got that $10,000 challenge. Maybe I should do $1 million challenge, or I don't know. I mean, well, whatever. I don't have $1 million, but if I had $1 million, I would give you $1 million challenge. And, good luck with that, anybody. James Madison made that challenge back over 200 years ago, and nobody's ever taken him up on it either.
And so I'm not gonna try to go to the video, but the South Dakota video from 2022 in December when Santorum's talking to a group, and I think you're the one that gave me this video as well, Eldon Stahl. Thank you very much. And so I think it's at 51 or 56. He's talking about limiting education, the federal reach of education. Okay, and he says that the federal government should have had this much input in education. Education's not even in the Constitution. So if you put it in the Constitution,
I remember that.
If you put it in the Constitution, aren't you expanding federal government?
Right. It's just, gee, maybe we should amend the Constitution so it says that the federal government shouldn't be involved in education. Well, maybe we should read the Constitution first. And there's so many instances like this you can point to.
So then he says there may be a balanced budget, broad support in this country. Maybe that won't pass. He says, well, if I hop to, and then he talks about keeping the court at 9. That's the other thing that he pushed. I'm bringing this up because those things are not listed in the fiscal restraints reigning in government. Balanced budget is the only one that's listed. So when they talk about limited convention, I'm telling you, they keep bringing in a whole bunch of extra stuff. So just recently, when he was in the House hearing, let's just hear what he says on this real quickly.
In Washington, it's really hard to cut a benefit. It's really hard to make changes to take something away from people. But one of the things that you can do is you can stop bad things from happening. And one of the things I talk about all the time is the idea of having a amendment that is proposed and I think would be ratified to limit the Supreme Court to 9 people. That would be an important thing to do. It would send an important signal to both parties that court packing is not the right way to go, that trying to seize control of.
Okay, so I want to hold right there. I can't do this as well as with Thomas when Thomas does it, but I'm going to swip forward. First off, Republican women already are working on a amendment to the Constitution through the legislative process, no convention, same way we've always done it. So we don't need the convention for that. And I'm going to hop up here a few seconds. Let me see if I can find it. I do this. Thomas does this better than I do. I want you to hear what he's saying. I want you to hear what he's whining about. Sorry, folks. I'm not great at this. Let's see if I can get it in here.
Things. You're not going to get 38 states to vote for those things. You're
Balanced
going to get
budget.
states to do things that keep the guardrails on, and more importantly,
he was talking about a balanced budget. I'll see if I can find it again. So he's admitting right there the very thing that they've taunted and teased and promised on this from the get-go. He's saying balanced budget you're not going to get. He's complaining about 75% being a bar too high, which makes me wonder if he's preparing to change the ratification. And he's saying 38 states are never going to go for a balanced budget, the very thing that they built their foundation for calling for a convention. Eldon?
Well, yeah, and with regard to the amendment, they call it keep nine Supreme Court justices. It really addresses a symptom rather than the problem. The problem is that, and supposedly Convention of States is this conservative group. Well, why are they pushing a progressive article of faith that says that we can informally change the U.S. Constitution through a decision of 5 out of 9 or whatever majority it is of Supreme Court justices? That's nowhere in Article 3 of the judicial branch. It's nowhere in Article 5. It's completely made up by the progressives under Woodrow Wilson. Why are we still holding on to that? And so we can amend the Constitution and say, well, it's limited to who knows how many. But it still doesn't matter. We still have embraced this idea of, we're going to be a judicial oligarchy instead of having the supreme law of the land be the U.S. Constitution. So all that is really just smoke and mirrors.
And then when you add in another video you sent me years ago, Michael Farris, and what he says he wants to do. Thomas, can you play that at 10803? It's Michael Farris at ALEC. I'll give you a second. Okay, so what this is going to be is what he wants to do to the Supreme Court, and this is what I'm telling you: they have no clear remedy. You now have Santorum saying, "Oh, let's keep it at 9." Here's what Michael Farris said, I think in 2014.
I mean, for one thing, I would do is I would make it have like the court of the European Court of Justice. We should have 50 Supreme Court justices, and they should be appointed by the state legislatures, and they meet in panels. Take away federal.
Pause it right there, because we're going to come back. 50 elected by their Supreme Court justices. You're given by your state legislators. You're giving your state legislators a whole bunch of power. 50 is another chamber, not a court. And let's zip to what he said. Well, do you want to comment on that before I zip to what he says in 2 minutes?
Well, when you hear the idea of limit on the power jurisdiction of the federal government and fiscal restraints and all that stuff from the Convention of States people, does it ever come to mind to you, maybe we should just have a complete overhaul of the federal judiciary? Probably not, because that would, in most people's minds, it would be not exactly limited.
Right. All right. So I think it's at 110 and I don't have any seconds on it. So just go to 110 if you can, Thomas. Same video.
One of the proposed amendments that to control the federal government. That's the biggest accomplishment of all. And if we do that, we will scare Washington, D.C. to death. And I think that they will not be nearly so cavalier to go in a...
I think we passed it. Maybe go back to 10930. But it's basically where he says the greatest thing we can achieve in a convention. Okay.
To ensure that they will be.
The greatest thing that we can achieve out of a convention is if they mess it up again, we call another convention. And if they know that this is a realistic process, that the states can correct Washington, D.C., if they abuse it, we just keep calling it. So if the Supreme Court messes up, okay, let's abolish it. You know,
okay,
if they're going...
Right there. One, we'll just keep calling more conventions. So while you can say they're limited, they're going to be unlimited in the number we want to call. And the Supreme Court will abolish it now. So we've got 50 to 0 to 9. No remedy. Eldon?
Well, obviously, this is not, the mask is off. This is not a conservative type of approach. This is a radical type of approach. And I think we need to expose these convention states people as radical revolutionaries that they are. They want to have convention after convention, which means that essentially we would be going through a revolution, a great destabilization politically and economically. It wouldn't be just for the United States. It would be for the entire world. Think of how many countries depend politically and economically on the United States. So that would be so destabilizing. It's hard to even quantify that.
Melvin Laird, Defense Secretary under Nixon, agrees with you, said if we called a convention, it would just upset commerce across the globe. And someone else has pointed out, once you break that barrier, once you open it up, it is not sacred. It will be opened up time after time. And we have Santorum on record saying he wants one every 5 years. And you just heard Ferris saying, as long as many as we want. This is such a danger. We've got to go to break. When we come back, Eldon, can you stay with us or do you need to run?
Sure, I can stay. Sure.
Excellent. We'll bring in Dave Oldman when we come back from break. Stay tuned. This is our new NutraSwish, Numi NutraSwish. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS, neumi.com/TTSS. One of the products we offer because you all have different preferences and respond differently to different items. So this is our lavender. It's for ladies anywhere along your journey. No hormones in it, but if you're taking a hormonal supplement, you might want to check with your doctor. The blue is for anyone over the age of 18. It has glutathione, which is a antioxidant, helps with over 400 cellular functions, and it helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, one of those terms we learned after 2020, and it helps detox glyphosate. The good glutathione helps detox glyphosate. Glyphosate is found in ag chemicals or lawn chemicals, and some are very concerned about possible links to cancers, HPVs, and diabetes. But the blue bottle, the glutathione, helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, and glyphosate. Then there's the mango-colored bottle you see on your screen. Numi Neuro Helps with your mind, your memory, and your focus. Now, again, after 2020, we heard something about brain fog, a term we'd not heard before. Whether it's from a virus or a vaccine, many have found relief, a little help with Numi Neuro, the mango colored bottle. When used with the blue bottle, it is so positive that the American Brain Council wrote about it and it looked like an endorsement. Though we're told they don't write endorsements, it was simply a positive review of what they saw. You can find more information at neumi.com/TTSS. neumi.com/TTSS for the Tamara Scott Show. Why? Because we want you feeling your best. And when you use that TTSS link, you help us be our best. All right. Eldon Stahl from JBS, John Birch Society, is with us out of the Western region. And then we have David Oldham joining us with Constitutional Grounds. And I asked, but now I've even forgotten, is it .org or .com? It is .com. You realize by me asking, then it helps cement it in everybody else's mind, perhaps not mine, but theirs. All right. All right. So Eldon, before we go to David on this new topic, is there anything on that outgoing topic you wanted to add? We played some videos, but I just think it helps viewers to know it's not just Tamara's opinion. This is what they said. Is Eldon frozen?
I think he froze. There he is.
There we go. Okay. I would just say, yes, do your own research. Don't just trust anybody. You will hear lots of claims on both sides on this issue, and it can be kind of very confusing. So take a little bit of time to kick the tires, and you will be amazed at what you find.
Thank you. And we've just proven they're not holding to their 3 items. We're told, they told one of our legislators that they weren't even going to go after the balanced budget. They weren't going to go after term limits. So they're not even holding to what they promised in all this. And what does rein in government mean to begin with? That just sounds like a real concern when in Minnesota that would mean defunding ICE and defunding the police. So David, you want to comment on anything you heard in that last segment?
Well, there's so much. Let's start with the fact that there is nothing that they have proposed so far, the Convention of States People, that directly address any of the problems that they cite. Not a single proposition. The other thing is they want to rein in government. The Constitution already explicitly limits their ability to spend on the things they spend on. We have to reteach this because people forget it. But if a power is not delegated to the government, they don't possess it. They want to work as though if it's not prohibited, they got it. And that's exactly the opposite of the way it's supposed to work. So the very fact that they have not been granted education, health care, ability to spend on these kinds of things, and in some cases expressly prohibited, then we need to get back to enforcement rather than create all sorts of new stuff and entirely changing our form of government. That's what they would ultimately have. What they would actually be proposing, because as soon as you delve back in, they don't say what they want to do with Article 1, Article 2, the 5th, Article 5. They don't mention that at all. This goes into the story we're going to talk about, and this is a long-standing scheme of theirs to never get into details. And so they have nothing. In fact, if you do look at what they have proposed, what they propose is to legitimize and codify all of the illegal spending that has been going on and all of the illegal governance that has happened to date, legitimize that, just shrink it a bit. And that was always my problem with Rick Santorum when he was in the House and Senate. That's been my problem with everybody that I have ever met who is associated with Convention of States. And that is that they will legitimize all of the illegalities rather than enforce them.
Yes. And this is your time. And I hate to go back to Eldon, but you sent me an email about all the spending. I asked you if Santorum was a big spender in Congress.
Oh, well, yes, he was. That's kind of the short version of it. But yes, he voted to raise the debt limit several times. He voted for big spending stuff, all kinds of things. So he doesn't exactly have this track record. He does. We've got the 990 forms from Convention of States now. He's making almost double what he made as a U.S. Senator. Maybe that persuaded him to support this cause. It kind of would be a bit persuasive. He would often tell this story. I didn't really care much about this subject until, Michael Ferris came to me and talked with me about it. Well, yeah, I wonder if a paycheck was connected to that and that conversation. But we know that he has been. It's not just, he's not just doing this out of the kindness of his heart. So.
And Thomas, we've got one of those on go to the projects.propublica.org. Thomas, I think that will show us what Santorum's making, right, Eldon?
Yep.
And David, you can go ahead while we're getting to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, some specific programs that Santorum supported was No Child Left Behind, Bush's education expansion, federal education expansion, and Medicaid prescription entitlements. That program began, and he voted for its funding or founding. So major spending, but then he wanted to cut the amount of spending after allowing these programs to begin, and the programs have no basis in the Constitution whatsoever.
Right. I mean, that's what they want to hand all of this power over to convention, which we know will go to Congress, who gave us the Patriot Act, who gave us bills and laws that are overstepping. So, Thomas, if you can go to page 7, I think Eldon has it highlighted for us on page 7. And this is just his salary. Oh, did we just miss it, Eldon?
No. Keep going.
Keep going?
Yep. Keep going.
Thomas.
Keep going.
A little faster.
This is the page, I think. Kind of zoom in there.
There he is.
Zoom in.
Number 8.
Number 8, I think it says.
Yep. Number 8.
If you can scan it, add up 300 and yep.
So that one only says
there.
311. That one only says 311, but we've seen 333 plus expenses.
Yeah, there's 2 columns. You add them up, but yeah, 311,000 plus what is it, 17 or whatever.
Yeah, it's over 330.
Yeah.
He's gotten a raise. That's good money.
There you go.
Good money.
Senior advisor.
Be curious.
Some pretty good advice he's doing.
Like, I have to take time off work to go to the Capitol, my own gas. I don't get any expenses paid back. Wonder if he'd support it then. What do you think?
I don't know, but he certainly is doing okay financially now, and I'm not one to say that he shouldn't get compensated, but this is he is going all across the country. I kind of question whether or not it's a very good investment, because since they brought him on, they've only got one state, and that was the one in Kansas where they had to sue the state of Kansas to get them to ignore their own state constitution in the name of changing the federal constitution. This is kind of a joke.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I don't know how persuasive Santorum has been, but they brought him on after Tom Coburn passed away.
Yep.
So.
And so they sued the state. That tells you how much they respect your Constitution and you, the people. They sued you to run over you. So, but we're supposed to think that they'll be okay at a convention, by the way. And then in that suit, the reason they won was because the federal judge apparently said this convention's a federal issue and your state can't make decisions on it, which kind of hurts their case in some people's eyes.
Yeah.
So just saying. All right, David, I want to get to you.
Yeah, this is the nature of the problem. If the states aren't in control of their own their own bodies, and the people that go to convention for them because it's a federal issue, then they just become a rubber stamp for whoever's throwing the convention. That's Michael Farris and his cronies. So we have major problems, and this is not unique to now. I first met Michael Farris and when he came to Oklahoma with Tom Coburn, and they lied up one side down the other, like you guys are pointing out they're doing in the video clips you've been showing. There's no difference. They didn't have an answer then, and they don't have an answer now.
And so I want to get to your story. This is the one we didn't get told last time, so make sure we get to it. We've got to go to our last break. We'll come back, and you will have the 8 minutes to share your exchange with Michael Farris.
What if millions around the world could access Bible teaching and worldview training for free right now without hitting a paywall? That's exactly what happens every day at worldviewtube.com because of the Worldview Weekend Foundation. We don't lock our live stream behind PayPal. We don't restrict our content to members only. Instead, the Worldview Weekend Foundation helps cover the cost of delivering free educational and ministry programming to people across the nation and around the world. And it's not just programming. My Sunday night church service, where I taught verse by verse through Revelation for 18 months, and now I am teaching through the book of Daniel, is made possible through the support of our church, Worldview Weekend Foundation. If you believe this kind of truth-centered biblical teaching must continue, donate today. Go now to worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address and phone number there if you'd rather give by phone or mail. That's worldviewfoundation.com. Thank you.
Thanks for following. Eldon Stahl from JBS in the western side of our United States is joining us, as well as David Oldham. David Oldham is with Constitutional Grounds, constitutionalgrounds.com. David meant to tell us this story last time he was on. We didn't get to it. Here we're down to our last segment. David, I am turning it right over to you.
Well, about 11 years ago, Tom Coburn had just retired from the Senate. And directly thereafter, he and Michael Farris appeared in a suburb of Tulsa and to a packed house. Many of us went who were skeptical, didn't know much about the Convention of States at that point, but were very skeptical of what they were saying. And basically, they got up and promised that they would do what nobody has done, and that is rein in the federal government. And I thought it highly unusual that Tom Coburn would talk about this when he was never able to do it while he was in the House or the Senate, and that it was going to somehow change the world just having a convention. Now, I had a little bit of an experience with Michael Farris beforehand because as a homeschooler, I knew of him through his HSLDA, or the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. And the problem there was he continually talked about a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution to protect homeschooling as a right. It's already protected, but under the Ninth Amendment, but he wanted to have it explicitly enumerated just to be on the safe side. The problem was he always put in judicial scrutiny and wrote that in. And if anybody knows about judicial scrutiny, it's very dicey, and it's strictly an excuse for the Supreme Court to allow excuses around the Constitution and give them a reason why they will not uphold the Constitution. They're going to allow government to get away with stuff. And that's, he wanted to actually put that into the Constitution. And so I go into this meeting very skeptical, and we asked some really hard questions, which they kind of sort of answered, but it was very nebulous. And so I went up to him after the meeting and started asking questions. And because I thought maybe one-on-one we would get a little more of a dialogue. He wanted me to move the conversation outside and walk him to his car, this was at a school, it was around back and it was by itself. Fortunately, I had a friend in tow. I was asking him lots of questions, and one of the big questions was, why aren't you presenting actual answers for the problems that plague us? Why aren't you discussing these things? And why didn't you address them when we actually brought them to the microphone for question time? And he told me flatly, he said, we cannot discuss actual solutions because we have to get to convention. The getting to convention is the goal. And if we discuss actual solutions, it will divert from getting to convention. We'll never get there. And so I paraphrase only slightly, but that is the gist of his answer. We get back to his car, and I'm still peppering him with questions. I think at this point, he's still being somewhat honest with me. And he takes off his jacket, hangs it on a coat hanger, closes the back car door, and then raises up and comes nose to nose with me. And his veins are popping, his face is beet red, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I ask people questions that are hard to face a lot, so I get that kind of a thing. My friend with me thought he was going to haul off and hit me. Fortunately, he thought better of the whole thing because, being a lawyer, he realized he was 2-1. I had a witness and he didn't. And so nothing came of it. But that ultimately, that exchange, the grandiose promises, nothing to show for it, not then, not now, and now less than then. At least then they had promises. Now they've taken those promises off the table. But that was my experience with Michael Farris. I realized then and there that the man could never be trusted. He would say whatever had to be said to get what he wanted done. And that was crystal clear from our conversation. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And so I have never trusted him. I will forever declare him as a liar and therefore expose him and his lies. Now, let me take a couple of things just real quick. 11 years ago, they were proposing a balanced budget amendment. The balanced budget amendment would still leave 3/5 of the balanced spending illegally spent. 3/5, because only about $2 trillion of our $6 trillion is actually lawful, roughly $2 trillion. It's closer to 1.75 trillion. If you keep it at about $5 to $6 trillion under a balanced budget amendment, that still leaves $3 to $3.5 trillion illegally spent under our current constitution. You want to rein in government? Start talking about what we have to cut because it's not lawful in the first place. And then he talked again and again and again about we have to have term limits because of all the corruption. Well, again, if you actually spent only what you're supposed to spend, there goes all your corruption. It's done. And that, it just, everything goes away if we would just deal with it correctly. And that is the last thing they had on their minds. And that was explicit through the question and answer period. That's explicit through Tom Coburn's career. And he was my senator in his last days. And that was clear in Michael Farris's questions to me and his answers. Now, this, you have to take my word on it, but all you have to do is look at what he said, and it lines up completely with everything that I've just shared.
I wish we had a video. We didn't do that so much 11 years ago. it hurts my heart because I used to work with Michael, interviewing him often on homeschool legal defense. I worked with him through CWA, and so I want to still maintain, a cordial relationship there. But that hurts my heart to hear these things. Although we've given several scenarios today where his answers did not align with each other. His answers did not align with what he said from 1 minute, literally, to the next. And so this is a concern. I'm not calling any names. I'm just saying the promises that they've made don't align with even what they're now saying they will do. And there's no guarantee. I think Meckler has said on video, there's no guarantee we'll get anything we go to convention for. I think he said that on Red Eye Radio. So as well, I did not know you were going to say that about the convention. I have said to folks, I feel like their goal is the convention, not the correction, the convention. They just want to get the Constitution opened up for whatever reason that is, because I feel like they're distracting able-bodied men and women from getting involved and fixing real-time problems today that we could solve. If we keep waiting, it's going to be that much more difficult. And at one point, I wasn't sure if they were waiting for more illegals to come into the country, if they were waiting for us to, WEF or WHO to take more control through a treaty. But you hit it when you say that they say that to our audience again. Their goal was a convention, not correction.
Correct. Well, not discussion of correction before convention. Supposedly, this convention is going to happen, and all magic is going to take place, and we're gonna just supernaturally come out with a better product. The problem is, I have never met a single person involved with Convention of States that has a clue about the convention or about the Constitution itself, and the real situation, and that's the real problem. Because if you don't have constitutionally minded people who are fundamentally engrossed in the spirit of what we currently have, who could actually replicate it on their own, you aren't going to get anything that will look the same. It'll look like whatever they come from, and generally, that is people who have misvoted, been unconstitutional through their careers. And that's what you're seeing when they go to convention. Because I know in my state, the people who represent us are not constitutional by any stretch. They are generally conservative, but that's a nebulous term that means different things to different people. So
Thomas,
I like that.
I'm gonna go to the 412 in Robert Kelly's video.
We don't need perfect politicians. We don't need even Madisons or Hamiltons to be at this convention. We need the states to be involved. We need the states to start pushing back against the federal government.
So, our founding father, I believe it was Adams, said the Constitution is made for a moral and religious people. It is inadequate for any other. And now you have this staff attorney from COS telling you we don't need good politicians. We're not concerned about bad politicians. And this may be telling us why. Eldon, we got 30 seconds for each of you. Eldon?
Well, yeah, we definitely want to open up the Constitution. This is, like Scalia said, a terrible century to have a constitutional convention. Who knows what would come out of it? This is just asking for trouble. And like Farah said, the biggest thing they want to have come out of a convention is to have another convention. That's their goal. All this other stuff is just bait, whatever issue you have in mind.
David, 30 seconds.
Folks, learn your own Constitution. The answers are actually already there. We just need to enforce it. We need to get better elected people who will enforce it.
The problem is not a lack of content in the Constitution needing changed. It is a lack of character in Congress needing corrected, and that we the people do. Thank you, both of you. Eldon Stahl, thank you, David Ullman, for being with me. There's still so much more we could peel back. We've still got so much more to uncover. Call your state legislators right now, I don't care what state you're in, and tell them support the Constitution, not a convention. Defend the Constitution, defeat a convention. I don't care what state you're in. You can resend it if you've called for it. As we tell you, love boldly, live better, laugh bigger, be encouraged, and never be complacent.